Superman's Pal Jimmy Olsen, number 23, from back in the day, back in 1957, September 1957.
Way back in the day.
And it is an issue, or at least story, called Jimmy Olsen, the Bearded Boy. And that's why we had it up there on the deal. And I know that most people, he's not a wolf man, but he might as well be. I mean, throughout all this, he pretty much does look pretty much like Rip Van Winkle, but he goes through a lot of personas to try to convince people in town that beards are cool, is all this is.
Give it time, Jimmy. Everybody will have one eventually.
And the funny thing about this is it's just, you know about Superman's Pal Jimmy Olsen, of course. Everybody knows of Turtle Jimmy. And then even later with Grant Morrison, I believe it was, possibly, that had the Doomsday Jimmy and all these all these crazy things that have happened to Jimmy.
A lot of crazy things.
This might be the worst. This might be the most ridiculous thing. And it's not just because it's ridiculous that Jimmy grows a beard. It's ridiculous why he grows a beard. It's ridiculous what he does with the beard.
Ridiculous.
No, this whole entire story and
it's so funny to me, too, because thinking about this, I knew we were going to do this whole thing, knowing that this book came out in September 1957. I was thinking to myself back when I was a kid, when I watched Planet of the Apes for the first time, at that one point, you know, when you have Charlton Heston shaving his face there, and Zira's like, why do you shave it off your face for? And I was like, well, in my world, it's looked at as immature. And I'm like, that came out in 68. So even at that point, you know, 11 years later, people are still thinking the beards are immature and not cool.
Yeah, to me, it was maybe a beatnik thing.
That's what I always think of.
Having the lazy layabouts. And then also, I would think that at that point, a lot of people would shave just for work. So you would end up thinking that somebody with a beard's a hobo. They're not hard workers. Well, in Metropolis at this point in 1957, they have a group called the Beard Band, and they would disagree, and they want to bring beards back. And that's basically the setup of it. It is written by Otto Binder, pencils by Kurt Swan, inks by Ray Burnley, and edited by Whitney Ellsworth. And I want to just bring out the idea that Whitney Ellsworth was the editor, because that was the last line of defense to stop this nonsense story. And
look,
did
go
not
back
stop
to
it.
the 50s and look at more of these comics. They're all ridiculous at the time.
If you
it's stuff like this where I look back and I wonder, how were comic books actually something that like maintained all this time and actually grew with the culture and stuff like that to be legitimate stories?
This is the nonsense that ended up being like, oh man, you know,
the Comics Code brought this out.
No, they're not for grown-ups. Look at this joke. And it starts off right away in the opening page, and they always have that big, you know, Superman's Pal Jimmy Olsen page, and it sets up the story.
It's because there's a couple in these books.
The thing is, they usually have these opening pages of all these stories and a bunch of things, even regular full issues at the time, where they'll have this one page that doesn't really make sense in the comic, but it gives you that first page look at what it's going to be.
What it's going to be like.
Jimmy has a full beard. I mean, this is a Rip Van Winkle, maybe
Can you just say full beard? It would go down past his feet.
It would go past, and it is
ZZ Top is envious.
Yeah, really. It accidentally hooked into Superman's belt as Superman's flying away, and Jimmy says, "Holy cow! My long beard got hooked accidentally in Superman's belt. I'm being dragged along as he flies." Where Superman, who has a lot of powers, he has supervision. He goes, I have a strange feeling someone's following me. Jimmy
supervision,
is almost
not super smart.
I'm telling you, no, not super smart at all. And also, I have to just mention that this is the 50-strong Superman at this point. He looks kind of fat, and it is never leg day for this Superman.
He's got his legs bent. It's just hard to see.
Oh, my God. His legs are like chicken legs, tiny. And he's got a very thick look to him. When you end up, and back in the 50s look, I think
it's like his thighs are only like 3 inches long.
There. But when your waist and your stomach is bigger out than your chest, that to me is 50s, 50 strong.
I'm a 50 strong man?
You've been 50 strong man for a while. But yeah, so we start off, and basically the whole concept is Jimmy, cover reporter,
yeah.
He wants to get a exclusive. There is this beard band.
Secret men's society.
A bearded men.
The beard band.
He needs to know what they do in this club. And it's going to be the big story. He's going to end up breaking the news to everyone. So he ends up trying to go in disguise. And what Jimmy thinks a disguise to get into the beard band, he can't grow a beard. He's too young.
Yeah.
He gets a false beard. Also, might have just picked up a tree branch that was laying around. He is acting as if he is 70 years old. I don't know why he's going that route. He doesn't need to pretend.
Whether he can grow a beard or not, everybody in here has beards that are at least 3 years of growth going. So yes. I don't think you just have 5 o'clock shadow and join the beard band at this point.
As we're going to see as we go on, Jimmy does go in and he ends up, the guy opens the door. He realizes, number one, it's a false beard. He ends up yanking it. And then he knows also right away, you're Jimmy Olsen, the Cub reporter. To dishonor the noble beard. Go! And this is the whole thing. He dishonored the beard. So he sends him off. Now, the same guy.
I'm saying, I don't know if this is an art problem or something they just didn't think about when they're doing this whole thing way back in 1957. But the guy who turned Jimmy down and shows the whole fake beard, Jimmy walks away defeated and discouraged.
This
only
guy's
to be confronted
chameleon,
by
though.
The same man who Jimmy doesn't seem to understand is the same man who just cut him out and says, you know what, guy? Do I have a deal for you?
Well, look at the page, too. You go. And this guy, because Jimmy just gets to the nearest trash can to throw away his stick. I don't know why he's throwing away this hat. It's a fancy hat.
Nice hat, yeah.
He throws away the hat, the stick, and the beard. The same guy who just kicked him out comes running and says, I saw you trying to get into the beard band meeting.
I bet you did.
I bet you I could get you in by having something to grow a real beard.
Hey, I got this beard tonic here.
Look at the deal, though. This guy's beard is white, and then it goes back to black. It's a
That'll happen a lot throughout this issue.
But it's the same guy. He didn't even change.
No, the thing is, this is not even the biggest problem, because the thing is, we have Jimmy. He takes the man up on his offer. The strange man who he did not recognize from 5 seconds ago. He takes him up on his offer, drinks the beard tonic, and immediately grows a beard. Now he's going to go into the beard band, and there's going to be a man on stage giving the whole, society kind of opening kind of deal in a different suit. But he recognizes that man as the man who gave him the beard tonic in a different suit.
How about this? Let's step back a second. Here we go. He goes up to the door. The guy comes out originally. Yeah. He pulls off the false beard. Throws it down, says, hey, you dishonor the beard. Get the hell out of here. Jimmy walks off, gets 3 steps away. The same guy goes up and says, hey, I got this tonic for you that will grow a beard. Jimmy's like, what? No way, I'm too young. No, try it out. He drinks it, grows a beard, pays the guy. Then Jimmy goes and knocks on the beard band door again to have the same guy answer and pull his beard. Same clothes and pull his beard and says, oh, my, you passed the test. And Jimmy's like, oh, man, I passed it. What a scoop. And he goes in. It's the most ridiculous use of one fellow. But when he goes in and you have the guy who's in charge of the society. Hail, bearded brothers. As you all know, people laugh at our noble beards, but very soon their ridicule will change to respect. Yes. Thanks to Jimmy Olsen, Superman's pal. You know me? Say, he's the one who sold me the beard tonic. But now he is wearing different clothes than the 3 other times he's met him already. The guy has different clothes on now. Within 5 minutes, this guy has met Jimmy 3-4 times. Jimmy finally recognizes him. This guy does recognize. And as he goes in, he's like, I wonder if I'm going to find out about all these beard fanatics and what weird stuff goes on here. You end up having the Hall of Famous beards. and I only can recognize Socrates, Lincoln, and Santa Claus. The one guy looks like David Letterman on the bottom. And I think it might be George Bernard Shaw, Eric, is who I would guess that would be, but I'm not completely sure. No. Other guys, you may have an elf, and maybe, I don't know what. You have I think it might be 2 of the 7 dwarfs. Yeah, but only 2 made it, because I guess only 2 have beards. So they end up having this meeting. Also, behind the guy, who then ends up talking to Jimmy, he seems to be the leader, bring back the beard. They have in a banner on the back of the whole deal. And this is the thing. So we know what the beard band's all about now. Yeah, well, Jimmy goes in and he wants to know with this breaking story what the beard band does. Now, what the beard band does is talk about Jimmy Olsen. Pretty much talk about Jimmy Olsen. That's all they do, because they have decided that Jimmy is going to go off and they want him to go to certain places, big, PR stunts pretty much for the beard band, so that they can push, because he's Superman's pal. So he must be legit than Superman's pal. They know Jimmy, but they don't know Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy, we know
Jimmy.
Jimmy's a bumbling idiot.
And so, jeepers, my beard is permanent? What must I do for the antidote? Well, I'll tell you, young man, you got to make beards legitimate. And once you do, and everybody loves the beards again, we'll give you the antidote to your beard. You mean a razor? No.
Yeah, that's what he said. They end up where he needs an antidote to get rid of this beard, and then acts as if there is no other way.
I swear, I am
stop
Jimmy.
The growth of a beard.
Every morning when I wake up and I look in the mirror,
I wish.
Jeepers, my beard is permanent.
That's me. I hate shaving. So yeah, they want Jimmy to go to different places around town, be seen with all the celebrities, and pretty much have people say, "Oh man, look at that Jimmy Olsen. He's so cool with a beard. I think I'll have one." Though that's not quite how it works. But Jimmy runs back.
The beard band thinks that Jimmy Olsen is so legit, but the people he works with, like, Perry White and a Clark Kent,
and Clark,
they think he's full of it, because when he comes back with this big scoop about this whole beard tonic that makes your beard grow and all what the beard band's up to, they don't believe him, and they proceed to drink the liquid, and then freaking Perry's beard immediately grows.
I still don't, I guess, because
Clark,
Jimmy bought the tonic. I don't know why they kept it, they allowed him to keep it. But I guess they just want him to go off and give his money back.
Clark can't be affected by chemicals this way.
No,
but
that's the problem.
To maintain a secret identity, while this is all going on, he has to rush out, undo his coat that he's wearing. Luckily, my coat has a silk lining, which I'll take apart, weaving the threads into a silken beard. Then I'll glue it to my own skin.
Yeah, he ends up making a beard out of the inside of his coat because he's afraid that if he goes in without a beard, they'll know, of course, if he doesn't have a beard, then he has to be Superman. When he goes in, Perry's already in problems. He has so much problems in this with this beard. First off, he doesn't even leave his office pretty much through this entire thing.
These beards are a nuisance.
And the beard is having problems because now all of a sudden a fan is putting it right
Johnny,
at
just
him.
the whole thing. We have a old man right here, Perry White, a mature adult man. These beards are a nuisance. But how do we get rid of them, Jimmy?
Yeah. How do we get rid of this beard? A razor? No. I need something a little better. And it does seem, I'm telling you, at one point it does seem like it's supposed to be stuck in the typewriter because he's grabbing it. A fan. He walks by, a fan's just pointing at him. I thought that they were going to have the fan, him getting the beard stuck in the fan going, oh my, this is going to get worse before it gets better. Instead, it's just flapping up into his face. And he just thinks it's a nuisance. It's growing really fast. By this point, Jimmy now has a beard almost down to his waist. Then he gets ready because the first thing he has to do, I'm telling you.
That's for the next day. That's right.
Yeah. And now he's going to get his top coat and tails on to go to a Father Time Appears on Earth play.
A day has passed since he has done this. When he went to bed, it seems like it was down to his belly button. The next morning, it's only down past his crotch a little bit. Everybody else's beard should be growing way faster than his, or his just ends up growing so fast beyond this point.
He took a lot of the tonic, and he's younger. It's not
Is that how that works?
He goes to this play where he's supposed to be seen with the celebrities, and he goes and
he's to a play, so that means Jimmy also has to put on his top hat and tails to go.
He has his top hat and tails. He kind of looks like Lincoln, and I'm like, oh no, don't go in the balcony, Jimmy. But he does. He goes in the balcony, and then in the middle of the play, he's supposed to lean forward so that everybody can see his beard. And people they're looking. That's the best is you see some guys pointing up. This beard at this point is 15 feet long at least. It's hanging down, and the play is Father Time. And you end up having Father Time Appears on Earth. He has this big sickle. He tries to go through what is a prop cobweb and accidentally cuts Jimmy's beard in half.
But a weird sickle. I mean, a real sickle.
Yeah, it's a real. He ends up slicing Jimmy's beard, and this becomes the trope throughout this, is anytime Jimmy has something wrong with the beard, people think it's the most hilarious thing they've ever seen or heard. You have, ho, ho, ha, ha. Everybody's screaming and yelling, and you
even
end
the
up
press
having...
come up. You've made a laughing stock of the beard, Jimmy.
Yeah.
You've only earned the
See, I think that is actually the cameraman from the beard band. He comes up, and he says that, and the weird thing is he's going to take pictures. Now, Jimmy, at this point, when they're going to take pictures, he has a beard still, and he has a beard that's typically the length of what we saw the other guys in the beard band. So I don't know why it's such a big deal that he got this big, giant beard cut. Well, it grows back very quickly for his next
deal. Too quickly.
Well, yeah, because next he's supposed to go to a dedication of a park statue
for Robinson Crusoe. Yeah.
You know, like every town has that statue of Robinson Crusoe. Well, he gets hungry.
Well, thankfully, I have time for a snack. Yeah, oh, no, my beard caught on fire.
I don't know what he's making.
Now I'm going to run my head into the shower and douse it down, and then the thing is, he's going to dress up as Robinson Crusoe to this whole park dedication for the statue. Yeah. And the only thing that everybody's talking about, not a strange man dressed as Robinson Crusoe, is that his beard is burnt at the bottom.
So he burns the beard and then heads off to this dedication with the same cameraman.
You're making beards funny, not dignified. Don't fail at the next event or else.
It's the most ridiculous thing. This guy is just standing there. He goes, ha ha, look, it's Jimmy Olsen dressed up as Robinson Crusoe. But his beard is burnt, and they start laughing. They think it's like, how would you know this? I don't even understand.
I like to think they can still smell it.
I guess. Oh, that stinks when that happens. And he's like, oh, man, you're making beards funny. And so the next deal, he's like, okay, 2 down, a bunch to go. I still have a
Jimmy Olsen.
I can still end up getting this
tonic. Gotta go to that Seven Dwarves exhibit next.
Yeah, you know. The 7 Dwarves exhibit in town.
Dressed as one of the dwarves.
And I love that it's not even a Snow White and the 7 Dwarves. It's just an exhibit on the dwarves themselves. He's going to go downtown dressed as what only can look like an elf to me. But hey, he's doing it. He's got a bunch of pillows stuffed up to make him look fat. His beard is going down to his ankles. He ends up turning the corner.
A cruel fate is hounding you, Jimmy, for around the corner. Oh, no. Crooks. A burst of gunshots accidentally cut off my beard.
Originally, they shoot Jimmy's beard off.
We see the misadventures of Jimmy Olsen here, but I think he's the luckiest guy ever because guys were shooting at him, and all it did was cut off his beard. I'm like, that was a close shave.
Yeah. It was a close shave. There. Do I have that? There you go.
There we go.
You end up having what looks like jewel thieves. They're in front of a jewelry store.
At least I could use my beard tripping a crook and delaying them until Superman answers my wristwatch signal. So now he is Wonder Woman with the lasso, but his beard that is cut off.
And this continues. And this is where I thought, okay, well, you know what? Jimmy might be goofy, but getting your beard shot by a criminal and then using said beard that's cut off as a lasso to lasso the criminals and get them, I'm telling you, then the beard fans should be happy. They ain't happy.
This is superhero material right here, because even when it gets shot off by the crooks here, I like to imagine it goes into like a Matrix bullet time where he's so fast, he's able to move his head back just in time. It cuts the beard off, he picks it up, and then uses the lasso to trip the legs. I'm like, this is the coolest guy ever.
This is within an instant. He's doing this. And I love it too. Jimmy, he ends up tripping the crooks. He ends up
sets off the watch signal.
Superman gets the signal. Unfortunately, he almost forgets to take the fake beard off. It's glued on, too. Oh, that would hurt. But he ends up taking it off. And I love the, almost like the dissociative disorder he has where he goes, oh, my, I almost forgot to take off this beard that Clark had to wear.
You're crazy,
That's
Superman.
you, Superman. You're crazy. He goes off, and I love, too, at this point where Superman shows up. Jimmy is still just collecting his beard, and Superman ends up, it's like he has a box of Cracker Jacks.
Dumping them out of the car door.
And starts shaking the guys out of the car. And then he's like, Jimmy says, oh, no, I ruined another publicity for beards. I'm never going to get the beard fan to give me that antidote, and I'm going to keep growing these super whiskers. And you end up having Superman fly away and says, and Clark's false beard can't be removed without the antidote either. So he's basically, if they don't get the antidote, Superman thinking to himself is like, I don't want to keep wearing this stupid false beard. I don't want to do this.
Everybody has different problems because there's a landslide that Superman sees with his telescopic
he's got to go
vision.
help that.
And Jimmy then goes off for his next thing, where he's appearing on a Rip Van Winkle movie, dressed as Rip Van Winkle, obviously.
So
but on his way, his beard's grown a little bit too long already, and he trips over it, and he falls in one of the famous Metropolis sand pits.
He just trips on it.
Which is just like, I swear, it's just quicksand.
Next to a sand pit. He just falls in, and he's sinking. He's gonna die. He ends up sending the signal off to Superman. Superman, at this point, must be so sick and tired of Jimmy signaling him about something that went wrong with a beard. And he's busy. He's stopping this whole deal. So what you end up happening is Jimmy thinks on his feet again, and he cuts the beard off, basically shaving. So he should actually get this in mind where he is doing this. But he ends up then lassoing a tree.
It's so weird, though, because it seems like he cut it all off, but then let it grow some more and cut some more off because he actually tied a knot into a piece of it to get it longer. So
he has a couple deals.
It's all one piece.
This thing is growing so quickly now. It is out of control. He ends up lassoing the tree and going up, but he ended up missing, I guess, the Rip Van Winkle movie.
Later, as Jimmy faces the enraged Beard Band, you brought disgrace instead of prestige to the Beards, Jimmy, so I'll smash your antidote. Yep.
The guy has one of those.
Now my beard will keep growing every day. I'm like, yep, that's how it works, Jimmy.
Yeah, that's how it is. He ends up having like almost like the XXX, like a big thing of the antidote.
Big jug of antidote.
A big jug. And the guy just smashes it right there. Doesn't empty it. He just smashes it. I want Jimmy to go over because it's on the
just lick up the thing with glass.
Yeah, he's just licking it, getting glass stuck in his tongue. And then he's like, okay. And now they seize him and they say, okay, we'll have no choice now but to carry out Operation Whiskers. Now they mean business. Now you're getting your scoop, Jimmy. And it says, take Olsen to the lab so that he can't warn Superman. Operation Whiskers now. And I don't know why they just didn't go this route anyway, if this is what they were going to do. Basically, they're going to get this tonic. They're going to make a ton of it. And like a bearded Joker even, or they always do this. Everybody's putting something in the reservoir. They just happen to not be so bad. They're going to put the beard. I'm just imagining women, children, everybody's going to have a beard in Metropolis here because they are going to put it in the reservoir. As Jimmy sits there and has just his beard that he
realizes at this point everybody's busy. It's up to Jimmy Olsen at this point. I love the idea that he cuts his beard off that he has left here. And he's going to we have all these burners around for the whole laboratory kind of thing. So they make the whole beard.
Yeah, this thing is working. Whiskers. It's a big Bunsen burner type deal.
Now, if I can take this bit of beard I have, if it hits the burner and sets everything on fire, he misses the burner completely. And it ends up just going in the big vat of the beard freaking tonic.
With your skyhook. He throws it in. He goes to pretty much what would only end up doing is setting that beard on fire. It's not going to stop. He thinks it's going to smother the fire. It goes into the vat. He's like, oh, well, I guess it'll just dissolve. I'm done. I got a beard forever. This is terrible. The guys ending up finishing their tonic and like, all right, you know what? This tonic is super powerful.
If you look at the thing where all the guys are going to drink their own tonic like this, and you see the one, it looks like Jimmy's already a part of it because the one guy looks just like Jimmy's like, well, he does. Better have another swig.
He has the same colored coat and everything. So they end up taking a swig to test it. I don't know. I guess you have to test it, but...
You have to test it, but what everybody needs to know, when you're going to make a giant beard tonic to poison, I don't know about poison, but affect the entire city and even the world if you keep going with the whole thing, the one thing that can mess up your whole ingredients, the whole thing, if somebody throws actual beard hair in a beard tonic, it makes the beards fall out.
It makes the antidote. It ended up that Jimmy accidentally throwing the beard in the vat turned it from what they say, the super powerful beard tonic. It turned it into the super antidote. They all drank it. Now they don't know what they're going to do, except possibly grow beards later.
My dissolving beard changed the chemical formula from a tonic to an antidote. I'll drink some right now.
Yep. He grabs that. He drinks it down just like he seemed to have done a panel before, and then ends up getting a bunch so he could go and give it to Clark and Perry. In the meantime, Superman just shows up and destroys all the equipment.
I just wish Perry didn't get so involved in his work throughout the day and didn't would have remembered to cut his beard, because when Jimmy gets back with the antidote, it seems that the beard has overrun Perry's office and he can't move out of his seat.
Him? It actually...
It's alive,
it tied him to his own seat. He's Rapunzel.
The beard tonic was alien. It's going to take over the world.
And Superman goes, and the one guy's like, our beautiful beard's gone. That finishes the beard band. Sob. And then you and Jimmy show up. Hey, here's the antidote, Chief. And throughout of this whole thing, every time Jimmy would talk to Perry, hey, Chief, you got the beard. Don't call me Chief. He kept saying that throughout. Yeah. And now this one, he actually lets him call him Chief.
Give me the tonic. Why don't you call me Chief?
He just wants the antidote before his beard pretty much chokes him out. Is what's going to happen. It's
a boa
completely
constrictor
ridiculous.
Around him.
Yes, it is. But that's the end.
Oh, the crazy world of Jimmy Olsen.
Oh, my
goodness. The No Shave November edition of the Back Issues podcast.
Yeah. So I knew that it would be fun to talk about. We just forgot about it.
I have read, and it's so short because it's just a one story out of 3 within one of the old Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen. And I've read this so many times because it is only 9 pages long, this whole thing. And it just gets more and more ridiculous every time I read it.
So ridiculous. Every time you read it, you figure out something else. I'm like, that same guy, he entered the door, tested the beard. Then he sold him the tonic. Then he tested the beard again. Then he's the leader of the beard band who recognizes Jimmy again. And Jimmy still doesn't know who it is.
All along for Jimmy Olsen to be the spokesperson of Beard Band.
Oh, my goodness. You would expect that maybe they would have sent something to get Jimmy on their trail at first. But no, Jimmy He just wants to crack the case. He just wants to crack the case.
Jimmy Olsen, the boy cub reporter we've been watching for weeks. He shows up at our door, and what luck.
And I will tell you right now, because of all this nonsense, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever read in my life.
In my mind, you can't rate something like this for what it is.
That's why I'm saying I'm just joking, but it's so ridiculous. It's so crazy and ridiculous.
But if anybody has a chance to find this whole thing, it is worth reading just because of the ridiculous nature and the whole 50s feel of it.
It's not on the DC app, so that is a shame. It's
not yet, Jim.
On the DC app. Everybody has to make a picket.
Maybe for 2020.
Yes, that'd be great. That's my wish for 2020. But thanks, everybody, for listening. It is a fun issue. It really is. I'll just give people the wink. You might be able to find it online. Weebadoo. There you go.
Weebadoo.
I don't want to say that, but if you wanted to.
Is that like your magic GD word?
Weebadoo. That's what it is. Yeah.
Say you.
Disappear. So that is that. But thanks, everybody. Talk to you guys later. Do we say anything at the end?
I usually do.
Okay, well, what do you say? I haven't recorded with you in a while. We have this whole 10 weeks off, it seems, that we've had. What do we say at the end of this?
That's it for this episode of Back Issues. Until next time, it's back to the long box.